Welcome everyone to the latest report for the channel. So this is a second game on the day of my Demons of Chaos facing off against a Blood Angels army, and my opponent and I, having played the first game, which was the last report, hopefully you saw that already, decided we might continue the narrative we'd established with the first game, and so I decided to make a slightly different list, thinking, if the narrative is, these are parts of an army, a larger demon force, right, that's being attacked or is attacking this Blood Angel army in some way, then all of my like heavy hitters, so to speak, were in the last list, and they all got basically destroyed. Sorry, spoiler alert in case you haven't seen it. But anyways, um, they so the idea was that those sorts of units would not be available for this list, and instead I'd have to go with something that was a little more infantry, cavalry heavy. And we sort of talked about it, and we kind of rolled out, I think, randomly the ambush scenario, and the discussion back and forth was, who's going to be ambushing whom and whatever. And we basically settled on using the PowerPoints that he would basically be ambushing me. So the thought was that these are my demons are sort of hunting for him, and in maybe moving through this area, going towards where they think the Blood Angels are going to be, they get ambushed. So that's basically what's happening. So it's a really fun scenario, really interesting, and hopefully it's a good game and you enjoy the report. So let's look at the armies again and the deployment and get right into it. So his list remained unchanged. These are basically the models he has, the units he has for the most part, and he liked them, liked the way they worked the last game, so he's sticking with them for this game. My list, of course, is going to be different entirely. So basically, I was thinking this would be sort of a more of a have more fast movers in it, and again, that wasn't with the idea of playing the ambush scenario in mind. It only was after I'd built the list that we decided on the ambush scenario, and initially we thought that I would be ambushing him, and then flipped it around. And I think that actually made for a really good matchup, really interesting, tense game for both of us. So I got Karnak, which is a model I haven't used in forever. I don't even know if I've used him in 40K more than once or twice. But interested to see what he might be able to do. I brought a couple of Heralds on foot, Heralds of Zinch on foot with Staffs of Change, a couple of Heralds of Slash on steeds, some Pink Horror units, Flamer units, Fiends, and a unit of Fleshhounds to go with Karnak. So Karnak's hunting for the head of the Blood Angel Captain, and we'll see how it goes. So moving on to deployment. Since we were doing the ambush scenario, he set up the markers, the tokens, whatever, for his army's hidden deployment, and then I had deployed my entire army in this column of advance. And so this is basically what I decided to do. I put the Pink Horrors at the very front of the advance. They're at the farthest forward line they can go, and then the Fiends and the Fleshhounds are behind them there in the middle, and the Flamers are there to the right, because I know he's going to want to shoot them with his rocket launchers as soon as he can, try to kill them as fast as he can, and I want them to be able to advance forward without taking too much damage. He didn't deploy any of his tokens down the sides of the table, so in the ambush scenario, if you're not familiar with it, of course, you have a column of march as the defender, and then the attacker has sort of a U shape around the outside. And my goal is to get a third of my power level off basically his short table edge, and he's going to try to stop me from doing that. And I was thinking about it as we were setting up, and he was putting out his tokens. I was like, well, if he places down the sides at all, I know I can get on him pretty quickly. Do I even bother though? But he didn't do that, so that made the decision a lot easier for me, so I didn't have to worry about the possibility of doubling back to try to kill something, but then waste time and maybe not make it off the short board edge in the time allotted for the game. So anyways, that's my deployment. And this is just a quick shot of my basic strategy, thinking that the Flamers are going to move up on the right. There's a tower at the top right of that picture that they're going to try to jump from behind this tower to behind that tower. The Fleshhounds are going to move in to the right behind them, in all likelihood, and then the horrors are going to push up. And I was thinking initially that the two on the left would go to the left with all of the Slanesh units and take the heralds with them. And then I'd send maybe one unit of pink horrors up the middle, possibly with the fleshhounds behind them, instead of sending the fleshhounds to the right. So those two units are sort of flexible. But I'm thinking I might send flamers and fleshhounds to the right, and then the pink horrors and the fiends to the left, and maybe even just void the center altogether. So we'll see how that plays out. But that's my thinking. When he reveals his army, so on the left here, he's got his jump packers behind the rock there, Dreadnought, Razorback. Again, I believe this is the one that has the flamers in it, but maybe not. It might have plasma stuff. I knew he was going to put his rocket launchers on this nice, pretty ruined tower here, so no surprise when he revealed those. And then he's got the two rhinos over here with 5-man squads in them, plus the dreadnought there. As the attacker, he gets to take the first turn unless I spend a command point to try to steal. And I got to spend a command point to even roll the die to go first. So I said, no, just go ahead and take it. He doesn't move a whole lot for obvious reasons. He does push the chaplain up into the squad here behind him, and he moves the dreadnought forward. He's going to try to get a couple of shots of my horrors. Those are about the only things he could bring into range. He does something kind of similar over here, in that he moves up the rhino and the dreadnought a little bit to get them fully in range of my front units, but that's about it. And his shooting ultimately was not that good. Most of his shots went into the horror units, and while he did cut one of them in half, they only got more than half. They only got 4 models left. And the other one he did cut in half. He's not really killing anything of really any real value. I don't actually really expect the horrors to make it off his table edge. It's just such a long way to go. I'm really counting on my fast units behind them to make it off the board. So he didn't do any damage to them. This turn was most appreciated by me. So moving on to Daemons of Chaos turn 1. In all the hubbub, I didn't get a good shot or any usable shots of my movement, but I basically did exactly what I planned to do and moved the flamers. I got really good rolls for their advance, so they advanced up right behind the tower. The fleshhounds went with them to the right. One unit of horrors did end up pushing into the center, and the others all went to the left. I brought all of my smites basically into range of this dreadnought, and after the last game where they so thoroughly owned my demon princes, I was like, well, maybe we'll just make them a priority target. If they're going to present themselves as the closest one for smite, they will get smited. Yeah, so I did, and I got this guy all the way down to 1 wound left, and I think I think I even killed him with a what do you call it? I think I killed him with a shooting attack from a horror. So they're little strength 3 course getting flame shots. I think I managed to get that wound through, and he even used a command point to re-roll it and save this guy, and deny me that not victory point, because there is no first blood in this game, but that moral victory, as it were. So anyways, move on to Blood Angels turn 2. His movement, he pushes up the jump packers basically jumped up onto that rock that they were standing behind, getting ready for a charge. The dreadnought and some tactical marines move into the gap there to try to stop my advance on this flank. And he does sort of a similar thing on the other side around the tower. My flamers are behind. He pushes up some tactical squads and some vehicles to try to block up my movement. Obviously, that's going to be less effective against them. But his shooting, he puts most all of his shooting into these guys, takes them down to almost completely dead. And then I think his tactical marines killed them off completely with their shooting attacks, because obviously he doesn't fear the horrors in close combat, so he's going to be able to assault them if he wants to, no problem. So yes, that's one of my 2 fast units. That's a lot of power points that I was hoping to maybe survive. That's already dead. And I rolled like garbage. I don't know how many saves I made of theirs, but a 5 up invul save apparently for me I just can't make. A 4 plus I'm golden. I can make those all day long, but a 5 plus apparently no can do. So oh well. And let's see, this is just showing he killed another, what, 2 out of this squad and did another wound. So yeah, these Slanesh fiends are just dropping like flies. This was nice for me though. This was a big point I think in a lot of respects. So he it may not have mattered ultimately that much, but it did mean that he wasn't able to get a few extra hits on these guys. Because when the Rhino failed its charge here, so he moves up and he shoots, and I think he did like 3 wounds to this unit. So I've lost 1 flamer, and I've got a wound floating on him. And the thought was that he would charge with the Rhino. The Rhino would take the brunt of the flamer shooting attacks, but that would then allow his tactical marines to get in there without getting shot to death. I think he already used his reroll on a failed charge somewhere else, or to try to make a charge somewhere else. And so when he rolled this Snake Eyes, he couldn't charge with the Rhino. The Rhino's down to like 2 wounds as well. So my Flamers rolled just ridiculously well for their damage on this vehicle. And he didn't roll that great for his armor saves, obviously. But when it rolled that Snake Eyes and couldn't make the charge, that meant that the rest of his Marines basically had to stand there, because if any one of these 5-man squads tries to charge these Flamers, they're just going to die. So that was a big, big roll in this game. To try to make up for it, the Dreadnought attempted the charge, and because he was more than 8 inches away, I couldn't overwatch. So he figured, well, what's the worst that'll happen, right? If I fail the charge, I fail the charge. I'm not taking any hits, I'm not taking damage. So he tried and failed. Let's see, down here, so you can see he did make his Dreadnought charge up there. The Apothecary or Sanguinary Priest is in next to him against the Horrors. The Tactical Squad here charges this lower unit, and when he was done, they were close enough, obviously, that my Herald on the Steed can heroically intervene. So hopefully she'll be able to cut down quite a few of those Tactical Marines. And this here might have been the charge that he used his reroll on and failed, that then prevented him from using the reroll on the other charge, the perhaps arguably more important charge. The Tactical Marines, or the Assault Marines, excuse me, tried to assault the fiends at the back there, jumping over and into combat, and they couldn't make it. And he made a charge here into this lone Horror Squad in the middle. And yeah, so you could see there was some damage done up and down the lines. No units died entirely, but a couple of wounds here, a couple of wounds there. So going to Demon's turn 2. Move my Fiends around to the flank here. They're obviously going to go after the Assault Squad. Herald comes around. The second Herald comes around. So yeah, so you can see I'm still in combat with the one. Looks like I picked off 2 of those Marines probably with the Herald, not with the Horrors. And I move my Heralds of Tzeentch up in here, and the thought is I'm going to try to first smite the Tactical Marines with my Heralds of Slanesh and maybe get rid of them, and then I'm going to try to kill that Dreadnought, and we'll go from there. Let's see, Fleshhounds and Karnak move around here. Obviously, they're not quite as fast as because they're on movement 10. They're not as fast as the Flamers or the Fiends. But they're going to try to get in here and deal with this Tactical Squad and maybe save this unit of Horrors, tie up the Dreadnought. We'll see. The blue Flamers hop out of combat and come over here. They're going to try to shoot down this missile launcher squad with the captain. So that's going to be their primary focus. This purple squad of Flamers moves up to take the place of the blue ones. They're going to try to kill the 5-man squad there, and then they'll maybe deal with the Rhino afterwards. And so we go to the Psychic phase. Smite goes off here, and I get lucky and roll all 3, I think. So save my smites, or have it more smites for other targets. I think this might have been a smite from the Horrors, but I'm not sure. The others, I think I did some wounds and maybe failed a couple. Didn't kill anything else with psychic abilities. I did manage to gun down this unit of Tactical Marines. Let's see, and yeah, I seem to remember the blue flamer shooting being pretty abysmal. Like it was really disappointing. I don't think I might have killed a marine. So that was again kind of upsetting. Down here at the bottom, obviously, I go ahead and charge or pile in where appropriate. So we wipe out the assault marines with the four fiends and one of the heralds. The other herald goes into the chaplain. And this is a picture, so the showing that I'm on one wound remaining with my herald. He's on one wound remaining with his chaplain, if I'm not mistaken. So we both almost killed each other. Horror's trying to help out. Let's see, back up here, kill a couple of marines with Karnak and a fleshhound. Lose a horror. The fleshhounds on the other side did a really nice job of taking down that one tactical squad from five to basically one guy remaining. He managed to pass a morale check though. I think the Dreadnought killed the two Fleshhounds that are missing, and that was it. So, all in all, not a bad charge. We'll see how they hold up though next turn. And yeah, Flamers get into the combat, but I think they just bounce off the tank. So we're going to Blood Angels turn 3. And so I didn't get his movement phase, but you can see here. So my purple Flamers, I believe, killed his tank. And he charges the blue flamers, so he shot them and then charged them and gets them down to basically two models remaining. So that was, they're almost dead, and I need them. I need as many of these expensive PowerPoint units. So again, each one of these is like 13 PowerPoints. These two flamer units. I need to try to get them off the table. So he's doing the right thing by focusing on trying to kill entire squads where he can, because obviously one flamer unit getting off, no big deal. Both flamer units getting off is, because that's 26 power points and I need 33, I think, total. So he really wants to kill the blue flamers if he can. Down here we managed to kill the chaplain, and this is thanks to heroic intervention. So the herald that helped out with the assault marines was able to heroically intervene into the chaplain, and then the two of them were able to kill him despite the medical intervention by the apothecary. And here in the middle, yeah, that dreadnought hit with all of its attacks, wounded with all of its attacks. I don't think I made a single save, so that was 4 dead fleshhounds right there. And then I rolled poorly on the morale check, and the other two just disappeared. Karnak finishes off the last of the tactical marines in the middle there, and I've got that one horror left. But yeah, that dreadnought's also free to wreck face, and I don't think either one of them can deal with it. So go to turn 3 for the Demons of Chaos. And down here, I move the Slaneshi guys as fast as they can down that rock. They might have even advanced to try to get as far as they can towards the table edge. I smite down the chaplain slash whatever, not chaplain, sanguinary priest, apothecary, sanguinary priest, whatever. The healing, the medic, we kill him. And I think I put enough wounds on the Razorback, so it's on like 1 or 2 wounds left at the end of the turn, although that's not in the picture. See, this is Karnak and the horror fleeing for their lives, and I screwed up a little bit with Karnak here, because I should have, instead of advancing him like I did, I should have moved him normally and then assaulted the tank with him if it survived. But I was kind of thinking that the tank wouldn't live. I don't know why I thought that, but anyways, I should have maybe moved him and then assaulted. But anyways, he is where he is. And over here, so the flamers now free of their combat with the tank move up. The blue flamers just jump out of that combat and move as fast as they can. I do shoot and then assault the missile launcher squad there on the lower level, and I couldn't get as many of my purple flamers into that fight as I wanted, because of the way the structure was built and whatever. And I'm not sure how I feel about some of the rules for the combat in that situation. I may have to look at those in more detail and see if maybe we did that wrong. But I felt like I should have gotten more guys into the fight than I did. But the end result was that I did kill most of those missile launcher marines. There was only like 2 guys left, and at this point I'm close enough to the table edge. with the blue guys, that just tying them up was probably good enough. Although I really wanted to, if I could have, killed all of them, and maybe taken out the last of them in close combat perhaps, and then piled in such a way, or consolidated in such a way that maybe the other missile launcher squad was also in combat, and therefore the blue squad was protected from all that shooting. As it stands, this tactical squad behind me to the right and the missile launchers on top can all still shoot at the blue flamers, and will probably kill them. So we go into Blood Angels turn 4. Let's see. The Dreadnought moves over and shoots this one pink horror with its Storm Bolter and kills it. And sure enough, the Dreadnought charges into Karnak and kills him in close combat. Let's see. I think this is shooting from the Heavy Bolter on the Razorback. It kills this two-man squad that's left. But this is one of the really big ones. So he shoots with as many of his missile launches as he can over here, and he does enough damage to kill 2 out of the 3. But I've still got the one Fiend with 2 wounds left. So that was pretty big when all this shooting was said and done. That model survived. And then over here, this was huge, because this was after shooting and close combat. I get down to 1 wound on this blue flamer, and so now I'm thinking, doing the math in my head. I'm like, I think I've got this. I think we're gonna make it out of this, and it's only because those 2 models survived. So yeah, so you can see 1 wound on the Razorback, and there you go. That's what's left of my infantry. So we go on to Demons of Chaos turn 4. I smite the tank. It explodes. It does some mortal wounds. No big deal. Yeah, these are the guys that make it off the table. So on this one flank, obviously the big full unit makes it off, no problem. The blue unit makes it off the table by the skin of their teeth. 1 wound remaining. So that right there is 26 power points. And then I've got 12 power points from the Fiend, and the 8 power points total for each from the 2 Heralds of Slaanesh. So it was a little surprising to see that in the end, he had to kill. I thought if he killed either the Flamers or the Fiends, that was going to be enough. Yeah, so this is just what's left on the table at the end of my army. Yeah. So anyways, like I said, I was thinking that that he only needed to kill 1 of those 2, but these are the wounds that he needed to do to win the game. Basically, if he'd killed those 2 models, done those 3 wounds, I would have been short of the threshold at that point in the game, and that would have made it a much more difficult decision for me as far as what do I take off, what do I leave on, because I would have needed to move those horrors as fast as I could to try to get some of them off. Now, admittedly, yeah, I could have used the horrors as a possible screen and moved my Tzeentch characters behind it. But with that Dreadnought was sitting right on top of them. If I didn't do something about it, and I could have smited it and killed it, but I think that's going to take all 4 of my Heralds, the 2 Slaaneshi ones and the 2 Tzeentch ones, to do it with any reliability. Otherwise, it could get in there and wreck me up, and yeah, I might not have gotten away with it. So in the end, it was a really tense, really exciting game. If you've only been playing the Eternal War missions, the one, you've been playing basically match play exclusively. Don't get me wrong, nothing wrong with that. I enjoy those games, but try some of the other games, and in particular, I'm looking forward to maybe trying some of these games when maybe things aren't as balanced, because we were fairly balanced in terms of points and power level. But I would like to see how well some of these games would work if you're maybe not as even. Are they still as good and intense and fun? And do some of the things in terms of PowerPoints and whatever really help the game for more, fun, casual type games. So anyways, hope you enjoyed the report. Hope you like what's the way things are going here on the channel now that we're back up and running a little bit with some perhaps more regularity. And hope you'll be back for more here on the channel.